The United States has an overconsumption problem. People consume 400% more clothing than they did 20 years ago. We only account for 5% of the global population, but we create half of the world's solid waste. While the act of acquiring new possessions or indulging in immediate gratification may provide a fleeting sense of satisfaction, the consequences of overconsumption extend far beyond the prices of the items that we are buying. Consumption, I don't think, is inherently bad, especially if it gives us the ability to live a better life. I think where we face the negative effects of overconsumption lies in when we start buying things that we don't actually need or we don't actually enjoy. There are effects of overconsumption aside from spending money, and today I'll talk about what these entail. I'll talk about the time and mental space that overconsumption occupies, effects on physical space and clutter, I'll talk about environmental impacts, and finally the opportunity costs associated with overconsumption. Hi everyone, my name is Carly. On this channel I talk all things personal finance, modeling, and lifestyle. And with that, let's get into it. If you're constantly in the mindset of wanting to buy something new, one of the non-renewable resources you are actively using up is your time. The time it takes for you to figure out what to buy, the time it takes for you to research something, the time it takes for you to actually walk out there and buy it yourself. That's all time that once spent, you can no longer get back. If you spend whole afternoons shopping, that's a good chunk of a few hours in your day. The time spent searching for, purchasing, even returning items can all accumulate. And this does take time away from other activities. Not to mention, once you've accumulated these items, you also have to spend time organizing, cleaning, and just overall managing these items. When it's time for you to get rid of these items, you also have to figure out how you will get rid of them. Will you give them away? Will you spend the time to sell them? Or will you incur the guilt of just throwing them away? An article from the American Medical Association defines decision fatigue as the idea that after making many decisions, your ability to make more and more decisions over the course of the day becomes worse. The more decisions you have to make, the more fatigue you develop and the more difficult it can become. When you're doing the research and going out to buy things and you're deciding between brand A and brand B, all of these actions require the act of making decisions, which does lead to decision fatigue. Also, managing a large number of items requires the decision-making of what to keep, what to throw away, and how to overall organize these items. We don't realize that we're making all of these decisions on a daily basis. But this decision fatigue can consume mental energy and contribute to stress. The same article notes that by the time the average person goes to bed, they've made 35,000 decisions that day. And all of these decisions take time and energy. That fact completely blew my mind when I learned that. I didn't even realize I even had 35,000 decisions to make, but those all add up, and the effort from those 35,000 decisions does add up. So the fewer items we have, the less mental space it requires for us to think about and maintain these items. Overconsumption can often lead us to having too many things, which leads to clutter and mess in our physical spaces. Sometimes it's really difficult to find what we actually need at that moment. One of my biggest vices is that I don't always put things back in their rightful place after I use them. That's something I'm working on, but that definitely leads to clutter in my apartment. Occasionally I can't find what I need to, and I literally have to scan my countertop, looking at each section and thinking like, are my scissors here? No. Are my scissors here? No. And then I realized that I have to take the time and mental labor to declutter my space so that I'm not in those types of positions. And also, after I clean my apartment, I do notice how different I feel mentally because I don't have the thought of needing to clean my apartment or the thought of a cluttered apartment looming over my head. Generally, I found that the more stuff I have, the more time and effort it takes to declutter my space. A cluttered space definitely overwhelms me sometimes, and I think there have been studies that have shown that visual chaos can subconsciously affect concentration and lead to a general sense of feeling mentally weighed down. I've only realized this after I've thrown things away and cleaned up things in my space. According to the UN panel that studies global natural resources, consumption is the leading driver of environmental problems around the world today, and that surpasses even the global population level. I think this problem is exacerbated by the fact that when we buy things either online or in store, we don't think about the effects of how that item got to appear on our front porch. There's the one-time use packaging that usually includes some sort of plastic. There's also the environmental impacts of shipping the item to us. The fuel that contributes to deforestation, toxic pollution, to climate change. Even the extinction of certain species is tied to our overconsumption. These are facts that I normally don't think about either, but I think it's something that should be more on the forefront of our minds as we purchase things. There was an NPR podcast I found that blew my mind recently when I learned that the most common way North Atlantic right whales die, which happens to be an endangered species in the United States, but the most common way they die is by being struck by the cargo ships that bring us our things. Inside these cargo ships are shipping containers that hold things that we buy from places like Amazon. It's so easy to not think about this as we do our daily shopping because it's so far removed from us, but it's definitely something that I'm trying to be more aware of as I decide what I want to buy or not buy. There's also the opportunity cost of purchasing an item. When you buy something, whether that's clothing, a bag, a tech gadget, that's something that you can't buy with that same sum of money. Maybe there's an experience that you wanted to have, or at the very least, you're foregoing the opportunity to just simply save and invest the money. Also, if you spend time shopping, that's time that you can't be doing something else, like going to a museum or reading at a cafe or hanging out with your friends. Maybe it's the opportunity cost of investing in your side hustle to make more money, or even just self-development and learning something new. So when we shop, yes, we are spending time and money, and that's time and money that we can't spend doing something else that may benefit us more. When you refrain from buying things that lead to overconsumption, you're saving more than just your money. You're saving your time and energy, you're preserving your physical space, you're being more environmentally friendly, and you give yourself the opportunity to spend your time and money in other ways that could benefit you more. That's it for today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And you might also be interested in this video on how to break free from the cycle of overspending.